This one. Right. Okay. Thank you. Welcome to the meeting of the Westley Heights Area Committee. We could drone on, but it's just the same group of people here. If there's a fire, go to the courtyard. You know the deal with the phones. I'll say no more. These area committees have been formed, to be fair, across the borough. As we know from the last 3 years of the Tories, how much money did they spend in Nevermain and Langdon Hills? But 64 grand on really tacky mock Victorian LED lampposts, the sort Jordan had on her house. 64 grand, and they switch off the rest of our street lights. So these area committees are funded fairly across the borough. In my view, I think Billericay's being given too much. The other area committee should be docking from Billericay, but the leader wishes to be fair on that aspect. That's fine, that's his choice. But this is money for Westley to be spent in the Westley Heights area of Langdon Hills and Nevermain Walls. And the way I look at it, it's a bit like after reunification in East Germany, where instead of our walls being occupied by the communists, by the Billericay Tories, who just let it to rack and ruin. And what we're here to do is to fix the damage from 3 years and some previously to start making life better. Because residents shouldn't be coming to us with all but petitions requesting a dog bin. It's ridiculous. Where in Billericay they can have gold-plated dog bins. It's just so unfair. I won't go on too long tonight because you probably all want to recharge your battery and watch the election results from America tomorrow. And there was something on the weekend about it where the EU admitting the election was rigged in Georgia. Trump said that and they wanted to arrest him. But maybe they're talking about the country, not the state. I have to have my little joke. Right, members. So, first point, agenda items pointless. Apologies for absence. We're all here tonight. Declarations of interests. You've all declared your interests.
No.
1 second. Yes, if you just use your speaker, please, Councillor Larkin.
Do I have to declare an interest in the Westley Heights, the Helping Hands, because I'm patron of that?
Well, you've just declared it there, so that'll be fine. I'm just taking advice.
Yeah. Page 3.
Councillor Larkin, you've got 3 options on page 3, and as always with local government speak, they have an aversion to the English language. So it's disclosable pecuniary interests,
No, I haven't got that.
other registrable interests and non-registrable interests. Well, look, they don't pay you a salary, you do it out of the goodness of your heart, it's charitable work. That's right, so...
I just mention it anyway. Oh, sorry. Stop taking that off.
I was told to.
And what about the Lady Basildon Path?
Well, that's in our ward, so there's no declaration of interest
Yeah,
needed.
she used to be my best friend.
Used to be, that means
Yeah.
very ominous.
Well, if it gives it any balance, I stood against her in the 2010 election. I think we're all good there, but as always with local government speak, why use plain English when you can just confuse people?
So is that the second?
What do you think, Anne?
Interest or non-registrable interest?
Yes, and other registrable interest. You don't get paid by it, sorry. Right, let's crack on. Funding considerations. So if we go through point by point, and I'll cover each of the, there should be only 7 items, yes. So I'll cover the 7 items to give some background. And so the first one is £1,500 to have a crunch. Now, I did argue for 2 crunchies, but that weekend on the 23rd of November, there will be 6 crunchies that weekend, and they're 6 area committees, so that's why. I checked where Langdon was having their area crunch that weekend, and that will be at the Langdon Community Centre. So if you're a resident in Langdon Hills, the Lane Community Centre is not that far away. I would have liked to have had one there, but we're restricted to one. So I've looked at where the fly tipping happens, and it's more to the east of the area committee's boundaries. And Kingswood didn't get a crunch last summer, and the members for Nevermain were heavily lobbied. Why didn't we have a crunch in Kingswood? And the reason wasn't a summer crunch in Kingswood, is because it's generally tidy. So after consulting with officers, the option we have for item 1 is to have the crunch in Kingswood and Cherry Down West, you know, where the Army Cadets do their marching around during the week. It's a nice big car park. They can get all the various trucks there, so metal can go on one, wood on the other, non-recyclables in the other truck. And it's pretty well known. It's near the main flats on the northern tip of the area committee in Cherry Down. And for residents in Kingswood and Vange, it's fairly accessible, as is for residents in Lee Chapel South. So, does anyone want to discuss that point before we carry on to item 2? Councillor Murphy.
Yeah, these crunches, obviously we can identify that certain areas are probably worse than other areas by the pure nature of the amount of fly tipping. I'm a bit concerned that we are using money for an extra service, as it were, which, as you've already said, in certain areas, down basically Sparrows Herne around that area, is, to use a better words, middle class, where most people like me put it in a car and toddle over to either Barleylands or down to Pitsea. You know, do we really need to spend money in this direction for these extra services in areas which don't really need it? I mean, money is very, very precious, and it seems to me that we are continually giving extra services. We give a weekly collection. For a very small amount, people can have stuff collected from the houses. We have Barleylands, we have Pitsea. You know, people have to take responsibility for their own stuff. Why should we keep paying for it?
Thank you for your views, Councillor Murphy. Councillor Larkin and Councillor Robbins.
Yeah, I've had so many emails to say how pleased they was. Some people missed it. So, you know, I'm quite happy to spend that money on having the crunch back. I mean, it is essential that it does stop fly tipping. So, hopefully, yeah, I'd like to. Thank you.
And Councillor Robbins.
Well, I agree with Councillor Larkin. You know, if people keep the area tidy and they put their rubbish away and secrete it in their sheds and garages, and the crunch is there and you can take it out, then I don't have a problem with that. Everybody's entitled. We all pay our rates.
Right, as I have no other speakers, I'll just pick up on these points. Respectfully, Councillor Murphy, you've been in the job almost as long as Keir Starmer, and both on a learning lesson. The crunchies were there before the COVID came along, and then COVID stopped it, and then County Council, because we collect the waste, the County Council bills us for the landfill tax. It was called the EU landfill tax, but the previous government said they're going to get Brexit done by just scrubbing out the word EU on landfill tax. And instead of the money going to Brussels, it goes to the government and other governmental bodies. So when this stuff is dumped, there's a cost to it of picking it up, where with the crunch, yes, there is that cost of £1,500, but when residents are sorting out metal, wood and other things, that metal and wood and other things that people recycle at a crunch isn't going into landfill and isn't going into this tax that the Tories promised to abolish when they was going to do Brexit. I agree with the points made by Councillor Larkin and Robbins. So are we of the agreement on item 1 to proceed with a crunch at Cherry Down at the cadet thing? And before we take the vote, to the officer Grant Taylor, that car park there uses a pass system. Will it definitely be deactivated on that Saturday?
So, Councillor, I haven't spoken to the relevant service over at Barleylands who have designed this with you. I can't give that absolute clarification, but if what I would say is if my colleagues are comfortable with that location from your conversations, and I've got every confidence, but of course I will check that with them.
Thank you, Grant Taylor. Just like to put that in because we don't want to tell the residents they all turn up at that Saturday morning and they can't get in there. So I've clarified that. Thank you. Right, those in favour of item 1, £1,500 investment for delivery of the crunch service to be delivered in the Westley Heights area from the Westley Heights Believing Basildon Fund. Those in favour? Agreed. Thank you. We'll go to item 2, and I've spoken to members of the group. I had some reservations because the details were we were given Friday the 13th. I'm a bit of me superstitious and a bit of me's not. And they wanted to do it in the middle of a park, 6 to 7 o'clock at night. Now, we all know this health and safety malarkey local government is besieged to. Risk assessment this, risk assessment that, yada, yada, yada. And some of it we can understand, some of it is to deal with ambulance chasing solicitors. That's the world that we live in. But the idea of kids walking through a muddy park that's pitch black, 6 till 7 o'clock at night, just screams alarm bells in my head. Because when we go through the parks, west to east, Great Berry, the lighting's not there. There's a bit of parking, but the lighting is not there. The recreational grounds, yes, there is a car park, and it could probably cope with all the kids coming along to sing Christmas carols, but there's no lighting in the park, and those with wooden barriers with the tiny little gaps get very muddy, and I can see people tripping over, so it rules out the wreck. Then Lee Chapel South, the parking rules it out, and again the lighting. The Kingswood open space, and again same argument. And Swanmead Park, no lighting, very little parking. And the Van Gill Drive recreational area, unfortunately, the police should be prioritising oiks in the parks rather than what two idiots are putting down on Facebook or misdemeanor crimes they seem to prioritise. I don't say about all things the police do, but when we call the police about the antisocial behaviour there, it seems very low priority when they seem to be doing other things. We're not there, this is not there to scrutinise the police, not here to defend themselves. But we have to be realistic when we're committing to £3,000. It isn't half-inched or vandalised during the night. So initially, I suggested to the members of this committee in phone calls that we might want to poo-poo it. Then the weekend I was talking to Gillian Blake from the Langdon Hills Residents Association, and the penny dropped. I have an answer. In Debden Green every year, they have they have events on that green every year. The Residents Association there do a very good job. It's safe, there's pavement, there's parking, it's well lit. One side of the road, people's kitchens will look down on the site. The houses in Debden, the houses in Kilnshaw looking onto it, their properties look down on it. So I wish to proceed with this because we shouldn't punish the people of Westley Heights not having this Christmas event, which is being funded from that 20 grand community pot we have. So I think my suggestion is we have it in Debden Green and work with the Langdon Hills Estate Residents Association who keep an eye on it and let their residents know. And let's be fair, they've had a tough time these last 2 winters because of their district heating scheme, because they didn't qualify for government grants for energy bills. So the residents, they've had a tough Christmas the last couple of years. So I think that sort of weighs it up. So the investment is secure because it's a good area. It's a safe place to have the event on the 13th of November between 6 and 7 o'clock at night. It's well lit, there's a bit of parking, and the residents will keep an eye to make sure it's not vandalised. Would members, anyone wishes to comment on this idea of Debden Green? Councillor Larkin?
I think what you're saying is probably right. I do have a slight problem when it says carols in the park event, because my colleague, Councillor Murphy, pointed out to me, if you look at illegibles, and is it exclusively religious? Do we have to diversify into different things? Is it okay that we have carols? That's what I'm saying. I mean, last year was abysmal in the borough. because we had no Christmas tree, we had no lights. It didn't seem like Christmas. And a lot of the people that were involved, the shopkeepers and everything, thought it was awful, you know, because it all helps with trade. It helps to bring people in. So I'm all for that, and I quite agree with what you said. Thank you.
Any other members?
Well, as Mo pointed out, I did point out the illegibility on the back. Our officer down the end seems to feel that his neck's in the noose should it go wrong, and he's still quite happy with it. So, but it does bring in the question that there are many Muslims, there are many Sikhs, Hindus, etc., etc. Are we considering celebrating their religious times from the funds that we have as equality of religion across the borough?
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. I think the safest argument for that is if it has a public holiday granted by the government, then of course we shall consider it. As is, if there's someone wants to have any events like that, we shall consider it. But everyone has 2 public holidays off for Christmas. Muslims consider Jesus a prophet. They're all sort of interconnected, the 3 main religions. So, again, we'll use our common sense. I mean, our ward of Nevermain has a few different religions set up there. I'm always open-minded, but I think the safest argument is a public holiday is granted for Christmas, and Christmas is encompassing all people these days. I've seen people of all religions have Christmas decorations up and enjoy the Christmas break, whether they're religious or not. And equally, to countermine that argument that you made, Councillor Murphy, with respect, is there are a lot of non-Christians who celebrate Christmas. They may not go to church, but they have the turkey, they do the Christmas shopping, they have the Christmas lights up. So I appreciate what you say, but any valid thing that comes forward to this committee, we will, we'll always entertain, as long as it's for the benefit of our residents. What I don't want is someone going round, all the area committees mugging them for mooching, whatever word you wish to use, for some sort of event that's not in our area. If it's in our area and it's for our residents, I'm always open-minded. But I think, sorry, Anne, I'll come to you in a moment, Grant, but I think the safest and simplest answer is it's a public holiday and the kids all enjoy Christmas regardless, and it's a nice way of bringing people together. But only different denominations that come forward, we'll happily talk, and if it's in our area and it is for our residents, no problem. The officer wishes to come in, Grant Taylor.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor. I just thank you for members for raising the point. I think it's a point of interest, and I think it's very healthy that we are reviewing the criteria appropriately. As the officer, I guess, that has ultimate responsibility for ensuring that our kind of grants programme is acting in accordance with the criteria, my view, where I'm comfortable with it, is in the reliance of exclusively religious. I appreciate there is a religious aspect, but I would also say it's a community event, and that's why I'm comfortable with it, but recognise the points raised.
Right, well that's perfect. And is there any other speakers, or do I put the recommendation to officers to have the item 2, a £3,000 investment towards the Carols in the Park event in the Westley Heights area for the purchase of a lit Christmas tree for over the festive period from the Westley Heights Believe in Basildon Fund, and it is to be located in Debden Green in consultation with the Langdon Hills Estate Residents Association. Those in favour? Thank you, unanimous. Item 3. It is the 25,700. We'll read that out in a second. But it's to create the Lady Basildon Path. Officially, Lady Basildon was a character from an Oscar Wilde book, and I understand the book was called An Ideal Husband. But unofficially, and the officers aren't listening, the name was chosen because of Angela Smith's involvement in saving Basildon Golf Course when she was the Member of Parliament. When this council either had gullible or extremely friendly leadership to the people who wanted to dump all sorts of unvetted and unchecked hardcore and other builders' waste onto the golf course with the promise it would be recontoured. Angela Smith, when she was the MP, had the laws amended and regulations to prevent this loophole with dumping hardcore on greenbelt land, which was there for farmers if they wanted to do a path. And the residents of Kingswood and the Greater Nethermain area clubbed together, went to battle with this council and won the day. Concrete would have been crushed up as a part of the plans, toxic pollution being emitted into the atmosphere that people would have breathed in. It would have totally wrecked our town centre. It would have killed the heart of Basildon, and someone would be thinking this council is either gullible or extremely friendly to a very bad idea. Very bad idea. And I think those who come out to back for Basildon, we are not Labour. I don't think any of us voted Labour in the general election, maybe one or two of us, I don't know. Your vote is secret and private. But she done good to come to the residents of Kingswood to help save the golf course, and I think that's appropriate name for the path. But officially, it's the Oscar Wilde character, because we don't name paths after living people. Wink, wink. Now, the purpose of the path is Clay Hall Lane has no pavement. So this time of year, when the greens are all wet and muddy, the only thing you can walk in without slipping on is Clay Hall Lane. But you can't, because you've got fences one side from the houses, thick thicket bushes the other side. So if you walk in the highway, you're going to get splattered. It's narrow, and someone will get hurt. There's a lot of joggers. There's a lot of people obviously playing golf, but there's a lot of people who go to the activities run at Club Kingswood. As you can tell, I'm not a member. I've got a great physique. Do you want to eat tonight, Walter?
You're all right, Walter.
Right, I'll carry on. So, this path is there to save lives. And when I served on the Fire Authority till the dopey Tories abolished it, they said if someone was killed on the highway, that would cost the overall cost was £1 million. So when you look at that, I think this is a bargain. If you just took a cold, hard-hearted nose of money towards this, and it's keeping our residents safe. So I'll open this up for debate if any members wish to speak. Councillor Larkin.
That's because it's so here. Yes, I've had several residents, and I think Kerry probably knows, and you do, Eddie, from Humphrey? No? Okay. Well, I've had several emails to say how wonderful it is because they won't have muddy boots no more and they can get to Kingswood Club. So, you know, and they were quite happy. And also another resident, Mr. Toomer, said how wonderful it was. And, you know, so I cannot actually sort of go against it. I'm, you know, quite pleased with it. We're here to support the residents, and if they like it, well, who are we to say no? Thank you, Chair, by the way.
Thank you, Councillor Larkin. Councillor Murphy?
I too support it fully. The only question I've got is it's 25,754 and 30p. That seems a very precise amount. And in today's budgetary world, how good is that going to be unless we specifically get on with it now? Because with inflation in 3, 4, 5, 6 months after the summer, it could be an extra 2, 3, 4, 5%. And if the case, have we got a spare little chunk of money to top it up if necessary?
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Our budget has to be spent this year. Grant Taylor, do you have an answer to that? How quickly this can be commissioned?
Officers of obviously the relevant officers in the right department have obviously got those quotes. It's so specific because it's not a figure taken from thin air. It's actually they've had a number of different quotes and different options. So that quote would not. I haven't seen the quote, but traditionally that would hold for a certain period of time, pending the decision tonight. That could be commissioned very quickly on that basis.
Councillor Brown.
I also want to speak in favour of this idea. what's great about it, what I really like about it, is that it'll be something permanent, something that will last into the future, that we'll spend the money this year, we'll have a commission, it'll be built, but then it'll be something that will last through time. It'll be a permanent addition to the community, so it'll get my vote.
So let's put item 3 to the vote, which is a £25,754.30 investment for the Lady Basildon Path from the Westley Heights Leaving Basildon Fund. Those in favour? Unanimous. Right. Then we go on to decision 4, £1,000 investment for the Lady Basildon Path Topping Out ceremony from the Westley Heights Believing Basildon Fund. That will be the recommendation we vote on, so I killed 2 birds with one stone, which I should have done with the previous one. The motivation behind this, myself and Councillor Larkin remember the battle quite well, right? And the devious Tory whips, they don't say nothing, Mo, but you might want to elaborate when it's your chance to speak. But residents of all incomes across Kingswood, Vange, Lee Chapel South dipped into their own pockets to pay for very expensive legal teams to take on the council and beat the council in court. And it's not for our benefit as a freebie, because we can do, if politicians want to do it, I've seen this on other councils, they just take the money, don't say anything about it, and someone might FOI it. We're doing this up front, this is for the community, so all those people involved to save the golf course, this is their golf course, they won the day, they kept the area decent without the hardcore waste and toxic pollutants in the air. They took the risk out of their own pocket, give up a lot of time, and some residents, by the previous council, had the police come after them and threaten to arrest them to put out a letter against a former member of this council who sat on the planning, when all the letters explained was what this person done on planning. So I think this is a little gift back to the residents to say we're not the enemy. You've done a marvellous thing by fighting to save it, and it's for you. Obviously, if not many people turn up because we don't know what the weather will be like, etc., I would like obviously a saving on that £1,000, but that's just the worst case figure to Grant Taylor. So if we get 100 people turn up, I don't know who's going to turn up. Let's try and make sure we don't splurge out unnecessarily. So I'll put that to the debate. Councillor Murphy?
What form is this topping out ceremony going to take?
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. So if and when this is decreed tonight, I will speak to Club Kingswood or Basildon Golf Course to hold it, so it's there in the centre. Obviously, it's got to be a time that Lady Angela Smith can turn up to meet her former constituents, because we didn't name the path after her. Wink, wink. And then once we've confirmed those 2 details, then obviously we'll speak with Grant Taylor and his team, get something organised. We can let her drop the local residents so they can turn up, and it's a thing for the residents of Kingswood, Vange and Lee Chapel South, because it was them who fought and won the battle. Okay, did you want to come back, Councillor Murphy, because I see your hand moving?
As I said, what form? Is it a light hour and a cup of tea or a bit of cake, or just a speech? Because £1,000 to listen to a speech is a lot of money.
Well, we'll use some common sense. If Lady Angela Smith can only come down in the morning, then there won't be booze. Obviously, be cups of tea. But if it's in the afternoon, maybe we can find some light refreshment or something like that. But the best thing to do is not us as elected officials discuss that, because it gives the wrong appearance to the public. We will leave it to the officers to sort that out. They do this all the time. So we entrust that to you. All we're agreeing tonight, I'll come to you, Councillor Green, in a moment, is the budget. If they can spend less, fantastic. But I think it's fair, and there's a lot of people involved. I will come to Councillor Green, then Councillor Larkin, and then Grant Taylor. Councillor Green?
On a
personal note, I feel very proud about this also because I did work there many years ago, and my son actually trained there, and for the New York Marathon for the Macmillan Cancer. So for this investment, I feel quite proud this is going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Green. Councillor Larkin.
Just wanted to ask a question of Grant, and that is, if it's raining or something like that, it's an all-day rain, will we be having a small marquee or something like that? Nothing. Because unless you've got some sort of shelter there, you're not going to get the people anyway.
Well, I will speak with Club Kingswood or Basildon Golf Course. And Councillor Larkin, your mic's on. We'll have it in either venue. So it will all be enclosed, nice and dry. Because this works might be done early January when it's really freezing cold and toasty. And I think we're all better in the warm because there's, as you know, quite a few elderly residents there now from those who fought the battle. So I think it has to be enclosed, like you say, and obviously nice and warm. Grant, you wanted to come back?
Yeah, just to advise councillor that the money can't be spent on alcohol as part of the conditions in the criteria that's on here. Doesn't stop the event happening, of course, but alcohol is not something it can fund. Perhaps we can talk in another way as to how sponsorship, etc., might be able to support some of that, but not this fund.
Thank you. Now, my clerk says to me we're not allowed to sponsor alcohol and tobacco. These glasses don't seem to read it. Very good pair of glasses they are. But I'm glad for that clarification for all concerned. But as I say, we can have committee after committee to agree this budget, or just go, there's an envelope there, money saved, will come back in the pot. That's easy. And was there anything else I had on that point? Yes, Councillor Murphy.
We don't necessarily have to have the ceremony just after it's built. I mean, we could delay it until perhaps the summer when the weather and everything would be perhaps more clement, and even perhaps opening it up slightly more with perhaps some children things going on, bouncy castles or something, sort of a little family day or whatever.
Definitely not bouncy castles if you live on the back of that. No, the path needs to be done ASAP. It's a safety thing. But I think we learned from the lessons of our former MP, the great scissor cutter of the Wild West, Stephen Metcalfe. They do the job, and then, of course, when Parliament was free, come down, big pair of scissors after using his sat-nav to find Basildon. And the works could have been done weeks and months before Randy gets his scissors out. So I appreciate what you say. I did think he was offering to bring the booze along, but that would be deemed as bribery, and we can't do that as councillors. But that's that. So I'm going to put recommendation 4 to the vote. I have read that. Oh, sorry, councillor.
And there was a person that done a lot of help towards that, and some sort of recognition should be given to him, which is Mick Toomer and Jan Toomer, because without them, it might not have happened. Thank you.
And may I also add John Topless as well?
Yes.
Yeah. But let's just say the Lord moves in mysterious ways. Is it a burning point, Councillor Murphy?
If we had a gate at both ends, perhaps we could name one after Mike and one after the other person.
Councillor Murphy, if it's made of metal, there's a little fairy that comes round Basildon and likes to recycle metal, because I think they're keen environmentalists. And if it's wood, Councillor Murphy, it rots. So I appreciate the sentiment, but the objective is to get this path done, which we've agreed. We've got this summer funding as a thanks to the residents. So I'm going to put recommendation straight to the vote. I've read it out. Those in favour? Thank you. That is unanimous. Item 5, the provision of 4 salt bins. Well, I wish to amend that, and Councillor Brown is seconding it. I'd like that sum of money doubled so we can buy 8 salt bins with. And just for sorry, Anne. No, I'm not. We'll let Grant Taylor do the calculations. I'll just read this out to members.
I'm sure we've got the money in the past still. I haven't done the sums, but providing we've not overspent anyway, that'd be fine.
Grant, I'm sure you'll be a lot better with money than the previous Chancellor, maybe the present, but the jury's out on that one. Now, on here, let's give her a chance first. Come on, this is not question. It's not news night, members. Otherwise, we've got to start interrupting everybody who starts to speak. Right. Just to put this in comparison, as an Essex County Council, we have this committee called the Local Highways Panel, and their contractor, do you know how much they charge to install one salt bin? Anyone have a guess? £6,500. And when questioned, design costs. What? Yeah, it's very technical, designing 4 rolls in a ground council, Robin, to screw the salt bin in, right, and fill it up with salts. And that probably explains why the highways are so bad. So, Grant Taylor's doing the sums. I'm just speaking, so we'll double that up for us, please. Do the maths. And then once this is agreed, item 5, I'll liaise with the officers where I want these located, but I know where I need 2 straight away. One is on the corner of Corona Road. I will speak to the household there on the high road. Councillor Robbins, Councillor Green and Councillor Brown will be familiar. And at the junction of Victoria Road and Lee Chapel Lane. I asked last year for a salt bin to be fitted there with money I got from Essex to Basildon, and an officer gave me the computer says no. Well, the computer better not say no, because we need the salt bins. And then we'll look at some locations where we will put the rest. I think Vangill Drive, where it's not been under our independent representation until last May, as a number of old grey salt bins that are decommissioned, looked at like at the near the Vange Library in Southview Road. These will be locations that I will look at and liaise with the members of this committee, my ward colleagues, and go from there and get the recommendations. But we're right to you, Grant. Is it yourself, Grant Taylor, for the salt bins for locations?
No, it'd be my colleagues at Barleylands, but they're fully aware.
Right, okay. Councillor Robbins.
Thank you. You know the dual carriageway that goes up to in front of Carter and Miller and Carter? That hill there is really bad if it snows. Can we have one sort of halfway up the hill?
Now, I'll be nice.
Please, pretty please.
Right. Any route that is gritted by Essex County Council, and that we're not going to put a salt bin there. And that is a route that is gritted. It's part of the dry street gritting route. So if it is not gritted, email me, Val, and I'll have a growl at County to make sure that is gritted. But anywhere that is gritted by Essex County Council, well, Councillor Robbins says it's not enough. If they're not doing it to the standard it should be. Okay. We can take that offline, and I can step that up as the county councillor for the area. But the whole point about this, because I do the salt bag scheme, this is now the 12th winter I've been doing it as a county councillor. And over the years, you find locations which are a complete death trap, where it's a shady road, it's a busy junction, and there's a bit of a slope to it. And we've had salt bins there like New Avenue for Welbeck Drive area, and people going to the recreational grounds. That's a well-used salt bin, and I will be going around, obviously talking to my colleagues, but the aim is areas, on residential areas, that will never see a gritter in winter. There's the potential for an accident with black ice and things like that, because in our areas, there's a lot of nurses, staff at the hospital. I mean, just think you could have, in an operating theatre, the top neurologist, the best anaesthetist, all the top people there, but the cleaner couldn't get into work on a snowy day, and that operating theatre can't be used. So that's why we've got to make sure our roads on an icy day are clear. I give out the salt as the county councillor to residents, but the salt bins we will put in locations where they are needed. So Councillor Brown is seconding my amendment. So is there any other speakers on this point? Councillor Murphy?
Is there a specific number that we can ring to let the council know that the bin needs topping up?
I would be mean and tell residents the 5s and all the 3s, but whoever answered the phone must do a lot of business on Amazon. I had two residents phone me up Friday about miscollections. I think it would have been easier ringing up the bar on the Titanic. I must have been doing a lot of Amazon shopping the cool stuff, because you just couldn't get through. Couldn't get through. And one old boy, his lock barrel on the lock went. He was locked in. We could go out, but he wouldn't be able to get back in. And unfortunately, I'm the cabinet member for housing, so I could get something done. But the old boy had been on the phone, 5s and all the 3s. So I could say to residents the 5s and all the 3s, but let's not go there. They've got our numbers. We're always regular with our newsletter. So if a salt bin needs topping up, we will top it up. I can't speak for this winter, but in previous years, if we've had a blast of snow and the salt bins are empty, the council's pride teams will typically come round after the snowy event and restock. So we have a supply of salt, Councillor Murphy, so we can restock. But I would say to residents, call us, because we can email the relevant department, but we don't give out phone numbers for the 5s and all the 3s, because, like I say, you're better off ringing the Titanic bar.
Well, Chris, this is basically what I was asking. If we put these salt bins in, it's fine, good idea. However, if they're empty all the time, it's not going to be such a bright idea. So should we not see if we can organise something, a number, whether it just be an answer phone number, a drop number, where people can ring up and say, yeah, have, I don't know, a number on the bins or something saying, bin 14's empty.
Councillor Murphy, you are speaking utmost common sense. This council would die on a crucifix to keep the 5 and all the 3s number. I agree, but I've had this conversation. There should be a direct line for housing repairs and this, that and the other. Repairs for number for street cleaning, but we must be paying a lot of money in royalties for green sleeves when residents ring up. That's all I can say. But look, when I go around with the newsletter with you guys, I always look at the salt bins to make sure there's no rubbish in them, and they're always topped up with salt. So it works. I appreciate you're new to our group from the recent elections, but we have a system. We go around, we check these things, and I would say if anyone's got a problem, that's why we give out our phone number. Residents can get their problem solved so much quicker than hearing green sleeves zillions and zillions and zillions of times. So the recommendation amended, I proposed it and Councillor Brown has seconded it. So this is item 5, that £1,114.16 investment for the provision of 8 salt bins in the Westley Heights area from the Westley Heights Believing Basildon Fund. Those in favour? Brilliant, that's unanimous. Now, our dear friend, if anyone goes shopping at Tesco's in Langdon Hills, they will know John Mackay, who runs the Helping Hands Food Bank. He does a brilliant job. I always hear positive items about John's food bank from residents who've used it. There is still a problem in the economy, and we spoke earlier about decisions chancellors have made, past and present, and there are people slipping through the cracks. And you can be on minimum wage or just above it, your boss sacks you for whatever reason, and it can be up to a month before you get universal credit. And if you're not being paid a lot, that money's gone before you get your first payment. And there's people stuck in that gap where if you fell out of work, it was 2-3 weeks. Now it's a month, in some cases 5 weeks. So what this purpose of this award to the Helping Hands Food Bank is for John Mackay's group there to set up food parcels for residents in the Westley Heights area. I mean, we're not going to be mean. When we had COVID, I tried to do something similar, and County's argument was, "Oh, someone from Pitsea could get a food parcel." Ooh. And I said to him, well, people in our area don't care. If someone needs it, we're not mean. But county got a bit weird, but look at the state of the roads, speaks for itself. But I'm sure if John has a resident who lives just outside of our area in need, and it's a genuine case, John will help them. John's very forthright and straight speaking, so if there's anyone swinging the lead, John will soon spot them and deal with them. And I'm sure John as well, when we speak outside Tesco's, he always says to me, how can I get some more funding, because we get lots of donations for food, but it's soap, toothpaste, and if you're looking where your next meal's coming from, those things slip through the net. And if there's children, if they get bad teeth, you know, it'd be nice if you could get real teeth implanted, but you can't. You get that one set when you've grown up. So I'll leave it there and go to Councillor Larkin.
Even though, thank you, Chair, even though I am patron of John's Food Bank, the last few years I've been giving him money out of my charity, because, you know, he was getting so desperate for it. But what I like about John, I've said to him, you know, would you look after Westley Heights and at Nethermain, which is our area? And he said yes. So I'm glad you've put that stipulation on it. And I mean, he doesn't care who he helps, as long as they're genuine. John doesn't suffer fools gladly. And I like that, because he puts a lot of hours into what he does. And if we only had more people like John Mackay, it would be great. Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, Councillor Larkin. Councillor Larkin, did he get some letters behind his name for his work? Or didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Was it a B?
He got a BEM.
Yeah. Councillor Robbins.
Thank you, Chair. Can we not give him a bit more, make another 500?
Got a seconder?
No, I can't.
Councillor Graham?
Of course.
So we have a proposal to increase that to £3,000. I'm happy, if no one else objects, to make that. Sorry, thank you, Anne. So we want to go from 2,500 to 300. We have Councillor Robbins is proposing it and Councillor Green is seconding it. So I'd ask you, Mo, Councillor Larkin, not to vote on this item, just in case some bureaucrat, you know, even though you do it all for charity, it costs you money. Someone in here might go, well, they're going to have to wait till we have another meeting after the new year, blah, blah, blah. So I'll ask Councillor Larkin to abstain on this one, just in case the bureaucrats come and get us. So the amendment is all taken. Anne, you all ready? Right, so item 6, a £3,000 fund award for Basildon Helping Hands Food Bank from the Westley Heights Community Priority Fund. Those in favour? Right, and Councillor Larkin's not participating in the vote, just in case some bureaucrat comes along. Right, and then we go to item 7. Why are these all written as A? Shouldn't it be the?
Yeah.
Just a grammatical thing.
That so it's, and then you're moving the recommendation.
Yeah, okay. It's just my clerk here. I ain't gone rusty. It's been 3 years in opposition. I ain't got that rusty. Right, so this is to award £2,500 to the Langdon Hills Residents Association from the Westley Heights Community Priority Fund. Sorry, I'll just let Councillor Robbins speak to Councillor Larkin for some background. No, that's fine. Right, so I put this forward and the officers come forward and go, well, you're not the ward member. So I said, well, I put the Helping Hands forward and they're in Lee Chapel North. So Councillor Brown is officially putting this forward. And this is a winter relief scheme. So when we had COVID, there was various grants funded by the government, and what you've got to remember with this estate, it was one of these nice ones from the 70s, go against all building norms by building on the ground, nice pitch roofs. They got this wonderful idea from Switzerland, but done it on the cheap. with a district heating scheme, so they're badly insulated compared to other housing stock. And they have that district heating scheme. Now, some will blame the war in Ukraine. I blame the speculators and money grabbers who use the cash out from quantitative easing, which Councillor Brown made me aware of, to go up buying up shares in energy, which pushed the price through the roof. Now, we all got help with our energy bills from the government. It's a pity the government didn't go after these speculators, but hey-ho. But for the people on this estate, they didn't get that help because they was on they're on a district heating scheme, and this affects 564 houses. So when the energy price goes up, they're normally hit the following year. And there's a lot of residents on that estate who are not on the best of incomes. Yeah, there are some people there who got a bargain place in a nice area close to the station. So, but even though they're getting big bills, this is to help the people who are not on the best of incomes of all age ranges get through this winter because of these energy bills the council's trying to claw back. And we can't write the energy bills off. So this is a help. We know the Langdon Hills Residents Association, thanks to Gillian Blake, she would have come here tonight, but she's not well and she doesn't want anyone else to catch her cold, which is very kind and considerate of her. But she knows we'll always come out to bat for them and their residents. And this funding here tonight is to help the most vulnerable people on this estate get through winter with higher energy bills that we will be paying. I have to pause, we've got a fire alarm. So that was a fake fire alarm. It looks like we've given that contract to CNN, the experts at fake news. So I think I've done the introduction fairly fair. Now, who would like to speak on it? Councillor Bray.
I think it's unfortunate and a travesty for the people who live there that not only are they hit hard by the ineffectiveness of the heating scheme, because a lot of people suffer there. They're locked in to that provision of the heating scheme, but then on top of that, when the prices spiked, they were unable to get any help and they had to suffer incredibly high energy bills. And for the residents of Langdon Hills Estate, it has been a very difficult set of winters, yes, for them, cold. And I know that some of the residents will also be suffering now from the withdrawal of the winter fuel payment. And for all those reasons, I just think this couldn't come at a better time, and hopefully this will go some way of helping them.
Thank you, Councillor Brand. Just as a point of reference, let's not forget the council. We're giving pensioners who've just slipped through the cracks by a few pounds a week the £100 winter home fuel. It would have been more money, but the crooks at County Hall have took the 300 grand off us, which we could have topped that up. But obviously the Colonel Blimps of Eppie need to top up their Jaguars, don't they, with old petrol. Councillor Robbins, did you want to speak?
Thank you. Will we not get that money at all?
Oh, they give us some crumbs, County. But when you look at our roads, when we drive out of Basildon, I play a game in the car. It's called Spot the Pothole. You don't need to sign Welcome to Brentwood, Welcome to Chelmsford, Welcome to Castle Point. You play Spot the Pothole. Right? They fix them, and they'll make sure their pensioners in North Essex and Brentwood and Chelmsford and Mould and all the other snooty places, they'll make sure they're looked after. Where that 300 grand meant for our pensioners, the government give us, right? But it had to go to county because of the upper tier authority. County all spent that and wasting £40,000 on Facebook ads and promotional material. Shocking. Shocking, shocking, shocking. Does any of the Langdon Hills members wish to comment? No? Right. So, before I carry on, Grant, you've been keeping a tally with the money, please. Because when I look at page 12, when the agenda was printed, right, the Community Priority Fund started off with 8,333. Then you take away £500, which leaves you with... Yep. It's just for the benefit of the clerk.
That's why you get the big bucks.
So £783. So hold on, £7,833. I've had a long day today. I'll give up. Right. Now we know the usual moochers when there's these grants. What was that animal show we watched before I picked you up, Walter? Do you want to use the mic?
Vultures.
Yeah. Yes, and they reminded me. And when I see the vultures on there, I thought, if we don't spend it on our residents, we're going to have Gateway FM coming along, swooping down, trying to take our money. And if I can find anyone who listens to that radio station, it might be a bargain. So I want to amend item 7. Right. Purely and simply because of the crooks at County Hall. The free ghosts wouldn't even waste their time visiting County Hall. They'd probably trip over in all the potholes in Basildon to get there. So I propose to put item 7, not £2,500, but to £5,000. And did you want to second that, Councillor Robbins? Fine. Right. In fact, that's perfect. Yeah. So I'm proposing it. Councillor Robbins is seconding it. That we put it up to £5,000. Let's call it the Winter Relief Scheme. Right. Obviously, you'll speak to Gillian Blake at the Resident Association. And one final point with this, I've said to Gillian, please don't be too noisy about this sum of money, because there are some people need just a smidge of discipline. I know I shouldn't really say, but they might get their nails done if they think they're going to get their heating done. So when Christmas has been and gone, 1st of January, Gillian Blake can start issuing the funds. People have got Christmas out of the way, because some people, if they think there's a little bit of help before Christmas, fingernails, haircuts, you name it, when the idea is to help people through winter.
This is coming from the priority group fund, isn't it?
That is correct, Councillor. Can you use the mic, please?
I presume they are properly constituted, as in who's eligible? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Murphy, it gives you any crumb of comfort. After County Hall wasting £5 million on Facebook ads to tell you what you already know. Don't go out, don't see anyone, keep a certain distance, don't cough, don't fart, don't splutter during COVID. And they wasted 5 million adverts telling you what Boris Johnson was telling you every single night. They got a full grilling over about what they wasted the money on wasteful stuff during COVID. This group got money during COVID, okay? And they've been properly checked out. They've had lots of grants from county. But you're quite right, Councillor Murphy, because we should be watching what we spend our money on. But Those who know Gillian Blake know she does a terrific job. She knows the people who are vulnerable on that estate, and she will get out and help them. It's predominantly the pensioners there and the younger people who've moved in. Because, like I say, if those houses were built properly in the 70s, well insulated, they'd be fine. But the council did try with air source heat pumps, and guess what? They didn't work on 28 homes. But to be fair, they're only fit for warming up swimming pools. So I will put recommendation 7 to the vote as amended. A £5,000 funding award for the Langdon Hills Estate Residents Association from the Westley Heights Community Priority Fund for their winter relief scheme. Those in favour? That is unanimous. Now, that is it officially, isn't it? Right, well, it isn't it, because someone sent me a little shopping list of things we could have. And we have a little bit of money over. Now, one thing we do get nagged at is about dog bins. Yes, Anne? Right, okay, members. Hello. Hello. Right, now we've got left unspent, so we've agreed the business of the committee tonight. There are some bits that need doing, and I've spoke to the clerk to have a meeting either the end of the month or very early December. And these are pretty much nothing burgers. So we have £8,133.62. That's from the 60k pot. And 5,333 thereabouts from the 20 grand pot. Now there are some things I just want to go through. I've got a price list here. So we're going to talk about it. The officers can go away and use this for the next committee report. The main one is, I think, is the Pride team. So we've got a price of £431, and that will get you. That's for 2 guys, tools on a Saturday and Sunday overtime. Now I know we've got the Pride teams already, but the Tories got rid of the summer prone, And up until May, they was busy in Billericay trying to enter it in the Chelsea Flower Show, while leaving the rest of the borough to become overgrown, looking untidy. So what I'm looking at is to commission 5 of these Pride Days. I will come to you in a moment, Councillor Larkin. And 3 of those on the Langdon Hills estate, because of the bizarre design of that estate. Come December, when the nights turn in as they are now, but a lot more earlier, it sunsets. There's so many leaves falling on the paths. Essex County Council point blank refuses to repair them properly. They might come and fix a fault, but if you're not too sure on your legs or you've got young children, if the path is all covered in leaves, it's slippery enough, and the estate needs a deep clean. So what I was thinking of was breaking that estate into 3 portions: the bit around Valence Way, that island, then everything off the walkways near Albans and Rymead and Debden Green, and the final one, Kilnshaw, the Hyde, Lippets Hill, Whitcroft. So there'd be 6 guys or girls, 3 trucks, the power tools, clear the paths, chop back any vegetation overgrown, and at the base of the vegetation there was a hell of a lot of litter. It's not been the residents dumping it, it's been those dreadful pathogen bags for recycling, where one bit of wind, all your rubbish goes everywhere. So that's 3 of the days. The other 2 days, one for the London Road area of Vange, in Nevermain Ward. It's pretty bad there because there was no summer prone. Pensioners' bungalows, the back of Barnard's Close, is terrible. If they're to get out and there was a problem, they've got to hack for a lot of vegetation, which hasn't been cut at all this year. So, and areas around that location need the Pride team to get in there and get it back to as it should be. And the 5th and final day is to be just after the Christmas break round Vange Hill Drive. Because of the naff new waste system we've been plumbered with, and Pitsy Tip's booking system, I'm not defending reasons why people are fly tipping, but it's making the problem worse. That is what I am saying. That we have a Pride team just after the Christmas holidays for the Vange Hill Drive area on a weekend to go in and give it a deep clean. Councillor Green was with me just after Christmas. We counted over 100 dumped black sacks near Sturrocks and Swanstead. 2 American style freezers dumped, various tyres, all sorts of things. I was surprised there wasn't a dead body amongst it. And it was like that for some time. And bearing in mind that the council had been controlled by the Billericay Tories, that wasn't a priority for them. It was obviously keeping son cool and a Twinkie at Vange Hill Drive's expense. So I think having that extra Pride team in for that area just after Christmas, there will be Pride teams popping in, of course, in that period, but I think one good deep clean after the Christmas break will get that estate back to where it should be. And if we as a council aren't keeping on top of these things, as I say, I'm not defending it, it just encourages more fly tipping. Councillor Larkin, you wanted to speak, please?
Yes, I think all what you're saying is very commendable, but should we leave something for an emergency in our budget that we have?
Would you expand on an emergency? Because if it's something the council has to do, then fine, but as you'll appreciate, we can't have old meetings at the drop of an hat. So if, for example, an emergency's come up, then it's something the council should pick up and deal with. What these area committees are to do is to get into our wards and start to make them good again. Basildon's a great place. It's not Basildon's fault it's been led by a moron for 3 years who was obsessed with Billericay.
No, what I was thinking of it, sometimes we get good charities that run out of money and they need help and they've never got something to top them up with. That's all I was thinking of.
Thank you, Councillor Larkin. This is to come out of, I know councils do this all the time, Believe in Basildon Fund. That's the 60 grand. For charitable causes, it's the Community Priority Fund. And we've got just over £5,000. So if something pops up, then that's fine. We have that there. And if it's a tough winter, we need to help other residents, if any groups, other community groups, it's there. As Councillor Brown reminded me, the vulture might want to be coming round us, so we don't want to keep it too big. Right, so that's one proposal. So we'd look at 5 pride teams for those areas I've described, and we have the cost. The cost of a litter bin, well, let's leave the litter and dog bins. I've put a request forward as the county councillor for the area, but it excludes Van Gill Drive because it's not in the Westley Heights County Division. £5,000 request for new bins and litter bin, new dog bins, litter bins, because they give a grant of £5,000 to county councillors. That should be getting released soon. There is a bullshit little officer who wants to know exactly where every litter bin's going to go. I mean, do we look like Pasco Escobar? £5,000 worth of litter bins. Going to, you know, that's County Hill. They'd rather be bureaucratic than do the right thing. Look at the state of our roads. Next cost is removal and disposal of bins. That's not a problem. But I do think, though, we need the provision of at least one dog bin for Maplesford Sweep, which is in the Van Gill Drive part, as we would like to call it, of 394. So can that be put down for consideration, please, Anne? Bollards, we've had some residents approach us. There's a street in Great Berry, and we've got wacky racer dust cart drivers. And instead of just driving in nicely into the round the bend, he decides to plough over the grass area, but the neighbours all cut the grass, pick up the leaves. So have some wooden posts put there. So I will get the street name for the officer because it escapes me. In fact, Councillor Brown, get up your map of Langdon Hills, please. Look up Highview Avenue and I'll get the street name. So we're going to want some wooden posts there, and also in Wichards, just to finish off the wooden posts I've had put in previously there. We've got the option of litter pickers for adult and children. I mean, I've not had any volunteer groups come forward, and I always mooch them directly from Barleylands. I don't think we should pay for that. If residents come out and volunteer, it shouldn't be coming out the area committee, saving the council money. Right, so Anne, that street I mentioned in Langdon Hills is a junction of Fern Walk and Wood View. There's a green at that junction where the dust cart drivers keep driving over. Can someone go over there, please, Anne? Measure up how many wooden posts we need and get us a price, please. Okay? Yeah, that's fine. Well, we've got to come back to... It's a nice, easy job, Councillor Murphy. Now, there's a group in Great Berry that wants some wooden benches. Councillor Ferguson promised to get me the price tonight so we could put it on, but obviously he's been tied up with other stuff as a cabinet member. I say that nicely, I don't say it criticised, because he has a lot of work on his plate. So we can take that out of the Community Priority Fund, and I believe the group from Great Berry want £2,000 for benches. Grant, do you know anything about these lamppost costs? Because it says here lamppost. Lighton and Colin, only £100 per metre for cabling, plus connection costs. That's not in your field of expertise.
It's not my area at all, I'm afraid.
Okay. And can you take a note, please, of installing lampposts? I don't think we can fund it this year, but we can fund it next year. Swanmead Park, there's a hard standing path in it, you know of that, Grant, don't you? And there's no street lighting. And there's so many people who walk their dogs in that park after dusk. And once you let the dog off the leash, no matter how big and good your dog is that's protecting you, the dog's off the leash and someone horrible comes along, you won't see. But if there's street lighting in that park, it keeps the park safe for everyone. Yeah? So if you can get us so we need a name for that project, don't we? Rather than just put a load of lights in Swanmead Park. So we've gone for one fictional character. I'm a fan of Del Boy. We obviously can't call it Nelson Mandela Path. I'll get myself in big trouble. So I thought carefully about that. So we'll do something else he's done, like Darling Buds of May. So we've done Lady Basildon Path. Let's do Larkin's Path. Does anyone have a problem with that? Yeah, so let's call that Swanmead Scheme Larkin's Path, as in the character from Darling Buds and Mate. No, Councillor Mo Larkin? Scrub that idea. We'll call it Trafalgar Path. No, 1 meeting at a time. So Grant's going to go away and look at that. Obviously, we need 1,500 for another crunch, so we must remember that before we go spending. Got a price for cleansing teams, but go. That's the Pride team. Scraping grass, cut. There is this quirky idea of raised bed planters. Nah. Grant, what do you know about smart bins? If they're like the phones, no. We'll have regular bins. Councillor Murphy. Then I'll go to Councillor.
In Billericay High Street, if you do poodle along there at 5 o'clock in the morning, like I regularly do, it's absolutely pits because the foxes have learnt to take all the rubbish out of all the bins. Well, I presume it's foxes, could
Not
be
the
cats.
gold-plated ones.
They now have bins there, which could be the smart bins, which you open up, put your stuff in and shut. So the foxes haven't quite worked out how to use them yet, and if they do, they can't get anything out. So that may be smart bins, and I think we should consider those for 2 reasons. One is for animals, to stop them getting in there. And secondly, I've noticed in my travels people putting big bags of rubbish and pushing them into the bins, which those bins are for litter and not really for the disposing of black sacks. So if we make the hole smaller, i.e. one of these little openings, so it's, get 3 or 4, 5, 6, well, half a dozen drinks cans in, or a 2 litre bottle, it would be more for litter and would stop people using it for large bits of litter.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. And just to confirm, that was in Billericay, that people are putting their black waste in public litter bins.
It's all over the district. I've seen it several times now, and I'm pretty convinced there's a certain area which is an house, which I was going to speak to you about, down by the Owl and Pussycat pub. Where everybody is using the flats bins, because there's 6 bins there, if I remember rightly, something like that. Well, you never know because there's too many black sacks over them. And then, there's got to be 6 bins. I think there's only 6 flats, and yet there's 40 black sacks there. So somebody else must be putting their black sacks on top. But I have noticed certain areas where certain people using the council bins for the disposal of their rubbish.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. I'm aware of what you're talking about, and I have a site visit this week in Kingswood as the Cabinet Member for Housing to look at that sort of thing. But the irony, the people who messed around our bins in Billericay are putting their refuse in council bins, and they still vote for them. Clearly something's in the water up there, possibly. Never mind. But at least I've not seen a Basildon fox rip apart a litter bin. So, Councillor Larkin, you want to speak, please? Is there anything else members want to put on there for officers to go away with? I have one further. Councillor Robbins will give you the exact details. It's the Potto in Courtney Park Road. It's not highway land. I understand there's an agreement between us and the company that manages the flats there. And where our dust carts keep driving over it, and cars are parked one side, and we can't do traffic enforcement because it's not public highway land. Those various dust carts that are now going over, like your green waste, your recycling, your food, your black waste, all these extra dust cart movements have created a pothole, and the residents there are fairly upset. So you liaise please with Councillor Robbins for the exact location so we can get a quote, and I gather we'd have to speak to the Courtney Park Management Company. Is that right, Councillor Robbins? Yes, she nods. So we can get a price for that pothole. in Courtney Park Road and have it fixed. It's the size of a dinner plate, but cars have only got a narrow space.
It's massive.
So for the next meeting, so in the next few weeks, we're possibly going to be having another meeting. We might need a meeting within a month. Go and speak to Councillor Robbins. She will give you the exact location of this pothole. It's not public highway land. I believe it is our land or it's private land, but it is managed by the Courtney Park Management Company. It's Lee, sorry. Thank you, Councillor Robbins. So we would have to speak to them and then get us a price and then the area committee will pay for its repair. I understand the company is duty bound to repair that pothole, but where we used to send one dust cart down there when it was first built, it weren't a problem. But like I say, you send a dust cart for food, you send a dust cart for recycling, you send a dust cart down there for green waste, you send a dust cart down there for black waste, you send a dust cart down there for glass collection, and it's going to develop a pothole. So I think it's a gesture of goodwill. We fixed this pothole one time, but that management company's got to be held to account. I'll come to you in a moment, Councillor Murphy.
Okay, Councillor, I have to look into that to understand it a bit more and to make sure it fits with the criteria. Obviously, if there is a responsibility under a lease, then I think it's about talking to our corporate property colleagues to ensure that the company are adhering to the lease they've signed.
Thank you, Grant. Councillor Robbins will give you more details, but it's not going to happen. And if we don't step in, it's our trucks making the problem worse, yeah? I know when people sign leases, there's a certain understanding, but when it was built for one refuse truck once a week. And since then, we're recycling a hell of a lot more, and we're getting far more vehicle movements. So I say we do this as a gesture of goodwill if the committee agrees to it. We fix it that one time, and then it's down to that management company. After that, it's hard done. Yeah? It's a gesture of goodwill. Councillor Murphy, and then I'm going to wrap up the meeting.
We did discuss quickly, Kerry, about the car park at the Vange Hill Road Surgery off of Southview Road. This is a bit of a quagmire, this one. The car park is actually owned by the National Health Service. However, in the deeds, what used to be the rent office has the entitlement to use 10 car parking spaces. The first 10 on the right-hand side. The council have now leased or sold or whatever, I haven't been able to discover it as yet, what used to be the old rent office to Open Reach, the drug rehabilitation charity. I don't know if they've still got rights to use that car park the way that the rent office had, but I presume it probably has. But anyway, as you go in, the first 5 car parking spaces are in a terrible state. The rest are passable just. But those 5 are in terrible state. You have to go down a little ditch of 6, 7, 8 inches to actually drive on them. The same as Kerry's talking about the liability because of the hole with the truck. Because we have got the rights to use them, have had the rights to use them since the Commissioner for Newtown gave them to the National Health Service and the rent office to us and the library to Essex County Council. I think we're morally obliged perhaps to do half of it, and it seems to me that half would be those 5 which are, at the moment are in bad repair. But it's something to be considered and looked into rather than a definite request at the moment, perhaps. Thank you.
Councillor Murphy, that's an item of work we can take away, because obviously we've got to speak to Essex County Council, because the library's their land around it, they don't weed spray, they keep getting our pride team to do it, so we need that conversation to get best value for the taxpayer, because there are lots of calls on us, as I said earlier. Our wards under the Tories saw no investment, and it's like Billericay's like West Germany and we're like East Germany. It's just after reunification. Yeah, we've been the one run down. We've seen our parks run down. we hardly saw the Pride teams. We lost the summer prune. They took away things, didn't replace things. You go Billericay, you'd think it was in a different borough. So our priority is to fix those things, and that is a part of it. So, as I say, we need to start making our areas good for residents, safe for residents. And I think our next big project for the next financial year will obviously be doing the lighting Swanmead Park. I've had calls to replace the missing play equipment in Maplesford Sweep. You probably know Councillor Murphy and Councillor Larkin. I had so many people complain to me when they contacted their former ward councillor. They said, "Oh, she's too busy wearing a mayoral chain and vice mayoral chain, right? And come down here and save Maplesford Sweep play equipment." It was cut out, scrapped. An act by the Billericay Tories. It's civic vandalism. We're going to put that right, but obviously it's a bit like on your first pay packet when you've not had a lot of money for some time. We do the big stuff and the safety first, like we've done Lady Basil Path, the lighting Swanmead Park, and then we'll try and get that play equipment in. But it's baby steps. And I think, just to wrap up, I think we've done really well tonight. If we look at what we've done, I did expect a quicker meeting, but we like to talk about these things because we care about our residents. We've given them a crunch. We're enabling Christmas to take place on the Langdon Hills estate. The new path to keep residents safe in Kingswood, that's been our biggest expenditure tonight. Salt bins to make sure we have a lot of NHS workers in Langdon Hills and Evermain get to work in icy weather, as well as many other public servants, and making sure residents don't have to have the need of Basildon Hospital if they slip over on the ice. We've helped Basildon's Helping Hands food banks and the sterling work of John Mackay, not with £2,500 but for £3,000, and the winter relief scheme for the Langdon Hills estate. So I thank everybody tonight for their attendance and their indulgence. Thank you so much. Cheers.